adjacent or was Twitch adjacent. Anyways. No, Connor didn't help me do the wood shit today. Okay. Connor is a guy who, during the 2024 election cycle, decided to work with this Democratic organization known as Progressive Victory. Progressive Victory is well known for sponsoring Twitch streamers to put out content that would be usable by them for their social media postings, which was discovered by me and Beckett in early February of 2024. It was a whole thing, and it was very, very depressing. Anyways, so Connor is continuing to make videos about this. And as all things Progressive Victory, we will continue to look at the weird fallouts, especially as I, at some point, decide to dig up the weird Dylan Burns freak out thing that happened, because we need to do that. We do need to actually go into making sure that that's more stratified and found. But regardless, this is where Connor is now. He's talking about Destiny, Hassan, and Vosh, online politics, and the art of orbiting. And yeah, I just want to check it out and see how it works. Did it work? Did they win?
Online politics is a weird, beautiful, and terrible place filled with sex, money, drama, backstabbing, power, and all the intrigue of a daytime soap opera. Depending on your political persuasion, there are heroes and villains abound, and plenty of characters to root for, and plenty of characters to enjoy their downfall. This video is to serve as a map to newcomers, describing some of the bigger players, the dynamics of creating YouTube content versus streaming, and how, if you're an aspiring creator, to navigate the many opportunities and pitfalls of the space. Firstly, let's address how the space was born. 20 years ago, if you were a politics nerd, your conversations about the topic were relegated to a 30-minute drunken ramble at a house party. You would often be dragged away by a girlfriend, and the conversation would be interrupted by awkward stares from people listening in. With the maturation of social media, you can explain, debate, opine, and fight for days on end. If you're sick of the topic, and after a short break, you can come back with a fresh vigor for yelling at people on the internet about politics.
AKA, if you want to loop on the same topic over and over again, and languish on that topic, you will have no shortage of people that you can have the same first conversation with over and over and over and over again about a topic. Absolutely something you can do with your content if you're interested in doing that.
Since the late thousands, online personalities realized they could create their own ideological niche on YouTube, a correlated fan base, and revenue that scaled with the amount of eyeballs on their content. Political pundits were no longer reliant on an Ivy League education, a nepotistic connection to a mainstream news organization, and a bunch of favors and backroom deals in order to get onto a debate or news show like The View or Politically Correct with Bill Maher. Instead, if you were even minorly gifted, you could post videos to the internet and hundreds or thousands of people would watch, like, comment, and subscribe. Early adopters of this opportunity were the channel The Young Turks, who started posting political content in 2005, and the New Atheist movement, dominated by a few charismatic personalities. The New Atheist movement often found themselves either boxed out of mainstream conversations or having to play by the sensibilities of a hostile audience, with a notable personality to our story being Sam Harris. Online, they could find thousands of like-minded people, create a community that allowed them to sharpen their research and rhetoric, and become all the stronger and richer for it. This was a fad through the middle 10s with a parallel development in live streaming. Posting recorded content was already an amazing opportunity, but the new frontier was live streaming. In the late thousands and early 10s, it took high-end equipment and a healthy chunk of technical knowledge to get a half-dozen pieces of hardware and a half-dozen pieces of software to all talk to each other, resulting in a live broadcast. In the early days, the pioneers of this technology was the precursor to Twitch known as Justin TV.
So people never argued on the internet before 2005? Yeah, basically, Connor forgets IRC channels, AOL chat rooms, above top secret forums. Yeah, like he's completely missing the forum stuff. But if we're talking about like the actual monetizable stuff, for what it's worth, the forums were never something that actually made money, and they became utterly insane most of the time, if we're going to be real, right?
Justin TV allowed people all over the world to create a broadcast and stream to an audience of hundreds or thousands. Video gaming was heavily emphasized, with early Justin TV administrators suspending accounts if they were just talking with prolonged periods of time without engaging with video games.
Yeah, this is the thing. At one point, Twitch was just a gaming platform. And then it all changed. It all changed.
A talented smack-talking StarCraft 2 player named Destiny received several suspensions for talking to his audience about politics and current events without playing video games. He fought these suspensions as nonsensical because he still had a dedicated audience, either willing to watch the commercials of his livestream or pay him donations, which the company got a cut of. Twitch eventually relented, seeing the money coming in from a variety of content as worth the risk to advertisers pulling out for controversial topics. During the middle 10s, content was pretty evenly divided between the two platforms. YouTube was for recorded content, and Twitch was for live streaming.
John Miller, good afternoon, love you. The one thing that I hate about Connor here, like what he's saying, is that Twitch and YouTube are even comparable. They're not. Even to this day, they're still not really comparable in any way, shape, or form, right? Twitch is still a nepotistic hellhole where you have to play by the game to move along with it, right? Like Twitch has a few groups that you can move up through the ranks. OTK is a good example. Hassan and his orbit is another great example. At one point, there was TWITCHPOL, but that was ultimately going ahead and moving up through Destiny. The only other way to grow on Twitch is to just be good at video games or engage in video game, communities. Sometimes that works out. Significantly less likely. I guess there's also like the thought stuff. You could just show not like, you could just basically do like near nudity, right?
That's the deal.
It's a good deal.
That's a good deal.
Welcome back.
Good,
Happy Barrel Drizzy Day less than 3.
Chappie, thank you for the resub. Let's go. It is not BBL Drizzy Day. I don't believe that's the case. Or be entertaining. Less so. I don't even think the entertaining thing really matters when you're looking at like the larger part of it. At some point, most of this internet stuff is always going to be networking, unless you're doing something like YouTube, which has an engaged algorithm that you can build your own audience around, right? That's kind of like what I think really the biggest thing is. Like right now, I think, if we're looking at back in 2015, I don't actually think there's ever been a comparison size for YouTube and Twitch, aside from the streaming thing. Like Twitch definitely had early streaming when streaming became very popularized, had a pretty good deadlock on it. But ultimately, YouTube still had more viewers, still had more watch time, and I don't even think it's near comparable. Even in like these like political conversations at this point, YouTube dwarfs Twitch on like the broader sense of it. If you're looking at Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan is accessible. All right. Piers Morgan is having people like Destiny and Brianna Wu on. It's not an impossibility to get on to Piers Morgan, at all, if you actually can have some level of political voice. So I just think that even comparing the two, it's very difficult to even bother with that.
Online politics was divided between these two mediums, with YouTubers overshadowing streamers due to their size and discoverability. As new atheism burned out as a topic, the anti-social justice warrior movement was born, and with it household names in the online political world such as Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head, Sargon of Akkad, Chris Ray Gun, and Lauren Southern. They became popular off of content making fun of woke college students, progressive Bill Nye the Science Guy and MTV segments, and progressive lolcows like Riley Dennis and Milo Stewart.
And to be fair, Lauren Southern also got pretty popular for doing some anti-immigrant rhetoric and actions, and maybe just became an idol of that, faction of the right.
They also got into Twitter and content spats with progressive characters such as ContraPoints, Anita Sarkeesian, and Brianna Wu. Their political beliefs vary wildly, but what united them was a common hatred for the excesses of the left. Sometimes these characters deny the depth of their friendship or professional association, but here's the truth of it. All the anti-social justice warrior content creators I listed made fun of progressive ideas, if not these creators directly. All the anti-SJWs were friendly associates, if not friends. Armored Skeptic and Shoe on Head dated for several years, but eventually broke up. Shoe on Head was friends with Sargon of Akkad until she became a Bernie bro Democrat, and he became a dissident right-wing neo-monarchist. I have no idea if that's actually accurate of Sargon's politics, but I genuinely dislike the guy.
I just dislike the guy, so I'm not even gonna look into it. Okay, thanks, Connor. I think that's he's possibly right, but like you could just send Beckett a line. I think Beckett like wrote a dissertation on this dude.
Chris
man.
Ray Gun was friends with everyone until he dated progressive YouTuber Lacey Green and then backed out of politics altogether. Lauren Southern, who is a dissident right-wing creator, was friends with Sargon of Akkad and Shoe-on-Head until Shoe-on-Head broke off their friendship due to Lauren Southern's political extremism.
Yeah, the Bernie Bro stuff and Lauren Southern, you know, stopping what was it? Was it Italians or was it Greece? Was it Italy or Greece? Right? Stopping the Italian government, I think, from going ahead and making sure they don't have dead migrants washing up on their shores. Okay? All right, I don't remember which country it was. All I know is that she got arrested for impeding the government from doing its job.
I believe they have since amended their relationship. As a result of this informal network, these creators were able to break into massive audiences just outside the mainstream. Dave Rubin was a commentator for the Young Turks, but became disaffected with the progressive movement and became a centrist supervillain in Content Nexus. Dave Rubin launched his channel by talking to new atheist public intellectual Sam Harris, finding his treatment on the Bill Maher and Young Turk show repulsive. In the middle to late 10s, Dave Rubin had Armored Skeptic, Sargon of Akkad, Chris Ray Gun, and Lauren Southern onto his show to talk about online politics and the excesses of the left. It was actually Lauren Southern who videotaped the viral college protest of Professor Jordan Peterson at the University of Toronto in 2016 that launched him from a relatively unknown Canadian public intellectual to a multi-millionaire household name. Who talked to who first is unknown, but Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, and Sargon of Akkad were all guests on the Joe.
He really nothing else said. He really dripped himself up, dude.
Rogan podcast, the largest media platform on the planet. Not just that, but Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris have had several public conversations and debates, boosting both of their profiles. Former on-the-ground journalist Tim Pool also runs a widely popular podcast and has been on the Joe Rogan show multiple times and routinely hosts or covers these creators.
Now, the one thing that I hate about how Connor's describing this is that all the time frames are way separated from one another, right? Like the rise of Joe Rogan has been a, semi and, major entertainment figure for a very long time, right? He wasn't just, he didn't just pop up like due to some weird upswelling or, maneuvered in during the Trump presidency. No, Joe Rogan was doing like the Man Show and stuff ages ago. All right. Joe Rogan is a mass media figure who remains a mass media figure. He got his big ups through the UFC stuff, and then he made his, like, I'm going to get stoned and let people say a lot of shit podcast, right? He has that. He had the host of Fear Factor. Yep. Like, Joe Rogan is not like anybody else here. Joe Rogan has given legitimacy to these various people in this network and web. It's not like the other way around. It is literally rotated around Joe Rogan.
Content. In particular, Lauren Southern and he have worked on several documentaries and were both part of the Russian psychological operation Tenet Media. Now, this was the peak of online politics in the late 2010s.
I'm glad that Connor is calling other people out for the shit that he does.
This was a time with the most amount
Good afternoon, love you.
of collaborations, friendships, and when millennial YouTube personalities seemed just on the verge of breaking into the mainstream, but it all fell apart. Armored Skeptic burnt out on politics and content creation and removed himself from the scene. Chris Ray Gun also burnt out on politics and now only does occasional pop culture commentary. Sam Harris felt like his takes on Islam and his association with Dave Rubin were capitalized on by a right-wing resurgence in Trumpism, which was personally horrifying to him. He removed himself from the state of play. Dave Rubin went from a liberal centrist critical of the left to a Trump sycophant incapable of criticizing anyone on the right. He has desperately clung to Jordan Peterson's coattails and
but the reason why is because he's getting paid by a certain group, right?
Joe Rogan has disavowed him as an opportunist grifter. Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson are in rarefied atmosphere, having been catapulted into the highest levels of media, with mainstream media outlets begging Jordan Peterson for airtime and mainstream politicians now begging to be on the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson only need to participate in online politics as it serves them.
No, Joe Rogan makes the fucking space. Joe Rogan has his entire ecosystem around him of like this pseudo centrist, kind of fallen a little bit to the right on a few issues. Maybe not weed, but like, definitely on vaccines and a myriad of other stuff. Versus like Jordan Peterson, who, I think is just a really confusing guy. I don't know what he suggests. I don't know if he actually has a message other than like the concept of a message, right? Like, obviously, if we're looking at self-help stuff, sure. I think we can even look at self-help stuff in probably a good lens. Some of the stuff is pretty basic, and good to do. Like, just take care of yourself, do the right things, don't like overextend, don't, ruin your life, right? Clean your room, make your bed. And then he kind of goes into a whole other, mode of action that is kind of nuts, but we need to evaluate these things separately. And he has his own network for that, but I don't even know if I would even put Jordan Peterson as somebody that's actually important in the state of play. I think Joe Rogan, you can definitely argue, is important. In the state of play of like online politics. Peterson is just kind of this weird outlier, I feel. I don't feel like he's really, within any sort of like connection there.
Now that
might be kind of what he's actually
fairly decent summary of a slice of YouTube politics. These characters created content independently, gained audiences independently, and any orbiting they did, any friendships they maintained for clout, money, and influence is fairly opaque. Their content creation and social maneuvering landed them hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and they climbed high enough to almost break into the mainstream conversations. However, when it comes to streaming, clout, power, money, and influence, or its evaporation, it's all available for people to watch as entertainment. Streamers are the modern radio. Not every moment has to be entertaining, but people put streamers on in the background while they play video games.
No, it does. It does need to always be entertaining, right? It has to be a level of entertainment if you want to get to like these significantly higher levels until you develop that parasocial contract with your audience where they will never leave you because they do want to do this. You have to make it entertaining first, so that way you actually get the eyes on it.
Do chores or even work. Professional streamers are often live 5 to 8 hours a day, and the best way for them to maintain viewership is to engage in drama with other streamers or to watch the dramatic fallout of personalities and current events while their audience cheers and jeers. Most streamers are vehicles to content, meaning they are a frame through which to view other entertainment. Very few streamers are content themselves, meaning they are so talented that just through their presence, charisma, rhetoric, and antics, they can be the entertainment.
That's what debates are. He literally just described like what the content is. That's what the debates are. That's what making the debates are. That's why we have a call-in day once a week. That's it.
3 men currently dominate online political streaming: Destiny and 2 people who could be described as former orbiters. By 2016, Stephen Bonnell, also known as Destiny, was burnt out on video games. In his words, he was worried about the rise of Trump and felt like progressives and liberals were wholly incapable of holding it together in a debate. He stormed onto the scene by debating JonTron, a wild...
This is like a minor point. Never. When was this video made? 2 days ago. This is a minor point that like, and this is just me having like an absolute just despicable hatred for something. Don't have high quality images next to low quality images. Okay? Like, do an AI upscaler at the worst if you need to, but like this juxtaposition really fucks with my head when it comes to these things. Dude.
Progressives and
I think it's okay if you have low quality, just don't have higher quality in it with it, right?
liberals were wholly incapable of holding it together in a debate. He stormed onto the scene by debating JonTron, a wildly famous comedy YouTuber, but then made his way through the debate gauntlet. Destiny debated or had conversations with Lauren Southern, Sargon of Akkad, Jim Medeker, Stefan Molyneux, ContraPoints, Andy Milonakis, Vegan Gains, Asmongold, No Bullshit, Dick Masterson, Nick Fuentes, Andy Worski, Amos Yee, Bad Bunny, Pokimane, Brittany Venti, Baked Alaska, Christy Winters, White Nervosa, Vosh, and Hassan Piker.
Oh, he just stopped halfway through. Okay. He stopped the last two because who were the last two?
Pokimane, Brittany Venti, Baked Alaska, Christy Winters, White Nervosa, Vosh,
Christy Winters and White Nervosa.
And Hassan Piker.
Okay.
He's of course talked to more people, but these are just the ones who pop out from his transition into politics. Each one of these people are creators or background characters with a following, lore, and personality, adding up to thousands of live viewers.
Wait, what? Okay, sorry. So these were the people he got involved with to break into politics. He made Vosh. Vosh orbited Destiny because of his politics. And I feel that if we're doing we're breaking into politics Wait, what is he saying? Destiny was already established in politics with like a bunch of these people starting to get like involved with him, right? I'm confused, sorry.
And millions of post-recorded views. Destiny acquitted himself well in these debates and conversations and was proven to be intelligent, quick-witted, often well-researched, and above all else, entertaining, as either a hero or a villain. If you were on the left, he was a hero because he was finally taking the fight to the arrogantly stupid and myopic anti-SJWs. If you were on the right, he was a libtard cuck debate lord who used sneaky debate tactics to win arguments. This gained Destiny notoriety and
No, this is still how it is. I thought he was just listing who Destiny debated. Yeah, but he said it like as these are his early political involvement. And I'm like, no, the early political involvement is him arguing with people on StarCraft, right? About politics. And we have a lot of those, you know, clips that have gone around. That's kind of what that's something that had been growing for a long time until he was like, no, we're just going to do way more of this, right? Vosh had a different name when ordering Destiny. Yes, Irish Laddie. And Irish Laddie abused that Poppy girl. And that was the thing.
thousands of live viewers, meaning that if you jumped onto a stream to talk or debate as a creator, you were guaranteed an increase in viewership yourself, which brings us to orbiting. Orbiting is when a smaller creator engages in debates, conversations, or similar content to a larger creator in order to capitalize on their already established audience. Orbiters will often be accused of quote-unquote being clones or skinwalking a larger creator because of just how similarly they copy the larger creator's manner. And style of content.
I don't think Mike from PA is copying Hassan. I just think he's letting himself go. Okay? I just think he's letting himself go. God, what a bad picture of Mike from PA. It's both? I don't think it's both. I think he's just letting himself go. All right, real quick. Again. This is just what, like, this is like the white dude letting himself go in Pennsylvania look. I don't know what else to tell you here. I know way more about this. Okay? This is, I hate to say it, kind of my thing. I actually have qualifications here. I think he's just letting himself go. I'm just gonna say it that way, okay?
Orbiters will often avoid talking about dramas and public events that might make their patron look bad, so they
they definitely will avoid that, Connor. Curious.
Do not upset the larger creator's audience. Alternatively, an Orbiter can be a wrestling heel, someone who the larger creator can spar with as an opponent because it's high viewership content for...
Remember, Connor ostensibly orbits Destiny, okay? Though he's a conservative, he's definitely in the row house. You know, he might not be welcome in the mansion, okay, but they got him on the plantation, okay? Let's just be real here. Okay? The longhouse, yeah.
Both creators. Yeah. Another detrimental term associated with this behavior is being a quote-unquote waiting room for a larger creator. This is when a streamer intentionally schedules their content around a larger creator schedule. This is so they can be a holdover.
And this is cuck shit, by the way. If you do this and you plan when you stream around somebody else, cuck shit. Plan around your own schedule, make your time.
Show until the bigger content creator goes live. These behaviors are maligned and often used as insults, but the truth is, orbiting can be very lucrative. Destiny at his peak was making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and might even be scratching now towards the $1 million mark. This has landed him a considerable net worth, making him pretty comfortable in engaging with WoW.
To be fair, right, Destiny did also get 10 million from a gambling website to stream there with a game show every once in a while, which Carantos put together, but you know, or helped at least. He kind of drifted at the end. You know, let's just
controversial conversations or debates. Just by getting onto his stream, you can net a few hundred people in your chat trying to see if you're doing well or getting your teeth kicked in.
No, if you go on a stream and they agree with you, they will ride until you disagree. If you disagree, they will treat you like shit. Shout out, Onivore.
This makes being Destiny's Orbiter, his online friend or enemy, a potential career. Unfortunately for the world, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks has a nephew named Hasan Piker. Unfortunately for Turkey, Hasan Piker's dad is a multimillionaire executive who sits on Turkey's Board of Trade. Unfortunately for New Jersey, Mehmet Piker chose to have his son in New Jersey to get Hasan U.S. citizenship. Unfortunately for the United States, this means that Hasan Piker came to the United States for college and has been a political pain in the ass since.
Is he literally just saying, wait, how did that go down? Did they literally just give birth to Hasan in Jersey so he had citizenship? Is that it? Like, I understand the Nepo baby thing. That's fine, but I don't even know. He's not an anchor baby, right? Dodongo, good afternoon, love you. Because his father went on to be a politician after Hasan was born, right? I think. Hasan Piker. Yeah, and he did go back to Turkey for a portion of time, yeah. He was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey. But grew up in Istanbul. Emigrated from Turkey to Turkey from Thessaloniki, from Crete, Greece. Political scientist on the future. His father exists. On like Wikipedia, I believe too, right? When did he? I remember eating a thing, right? Just take a look at this real quick. I know that they, like, a lot of people want to connect him to like this far right shit. I just was like kind of wondering when his father got involved. I haven't actually looked into that. I feel like I recall that. I guess we could just look at the Future Party, right? Yeah, it was founded in 2019. Which is like long after Hasan was born in the first place, right? It's actually after the Young Turks. It's after the Young Turks, even. You know? The thing is, the idea that he was literally born in New Jersey just so he had a United States citizenship is interesting. I've never heard that before, though. I'm kind of interested in that. I don't think that the political, whatever, the Young Turks were established well before his father's like political stuff was established, right?
Hasan first worked for the Young Turks as a pundit, but then moved into live streaming to try to start an independent political commentary.
Yeah, like he was working for the Young Turks in 2012. His father did the political. It seems like that Future Party, which is what his father is largely credited to, was started in 2019. I don't even want to go that hard against Hasan. I think it's still kind of odd, but like not really criticizable. It just seems really weird to just say, well, it just looks like one side of his family was really successful and the other side was pretty successful,
Career. Stephen Bennell, also known as Destiny,
yeah, this is literally just politics slop that doesn't make sense, right? Conor's going awfully hard on Hasan. Yeah, right?
Thought fit to help Hasan set up his channel, raided into him several times, had several friendly streams with him, and several contentious
They literally met up in real life. They were like besties.
debates.
It was really cute. Like looking at the stuff in retrospect, it is kind of cute.
Helped raise
It is a good bromance.
Hasan's profile and income to the point that he successfully snowballed that into a live streaming career. Hasan's early relationship with Destiny and the relationship fallout allowed him to rip out a chunk of Destiny's audience as his own. Destiny was a debate champion of the left.
Hold up. Before that, his dad was the vice president of Sabanchi Holding. Okay, yeah, but that's a holding company, not a political org. I noted that, and I said that, yes, I think that that's interesting, and it could lead to what Conor was saying about the birthright citizenship thing. But, yeah, he was influential. I don't know what else to say about that. I don't think Hasan's a psyop. Okay.
But he had quote-unquote liberal
Wait, why is the video swaying? I didn't even notice that.
sensibilities. This means he cares about things like individual rights and mixed economy capitalism. Destiny might like a progressive tax structure to support
Hasan says his parents wanted him to be born here so he could have U.S. citizenship. I've never heard that before. Okay, so like, I haven't seen that. If you're just gonna throw random shit out, like, you gotta understand, if you don't know about it, I haven't heard that shit. Okay?
welfare programs to help the hungry and destitute, but he doesn't want to slaughter capitalists and landlords in rivers of blood, decommodify basic human needs, and have the workers own the means of production. This means that he is not a quote-unquote leftist, and therefore not hardcore enough for young impressionable socialists and communists from the West Coast and Pacific
Okay.
Northwest. Hassan appealed to these more hardcore leftists, appealed to their revolutionary fantasies, and was able to tease them away from Destiny's audience and into a following of his own. As a result,
I mean, partly, right? But the bigger thing that Hassan did was use Destiny to maneuver himself into the Twitch inner circle, where a lot of these thoughts were, you know, kind of just moving around. And when I say inner circle, I mean more of his interactions with Austin, Show, some OTK members, like people like that who are, again, young, impressionable, kind of like, you know, whiling out on various issues. And if we're looking at the 2019 to 2021 era, I think that like he is missing like a lot of what Hassan built with, because yeah, the Destiny stuff was to get in, and then he burnt Destiny because it's Destiny.
ripping out that chunk of Destiny's audience and snowballing that into a hardcore leftist audience, Hassan is now, unfortunately, the largest political streamer in the Western world. Hassan has launched into his own orbit and took several Destiny orbiters with him, Mike from PA, Bad Buddy, and Denims in particular. As an example of how lucrative orbiting can be, Mike from...
So I don't even think the Denims representation here is like the best either, right? You know, if you're looking at like why Denims separated, there was like a whole drama with her in Destiny, right? This was in the Mr. Girl article. I only know this because I've been reading the Mr. Girl article again. Because I'm dead inside. Yeah, like the little fox, the Denim's Little Fox stuff, right? So this is in 2019, and this is when like you had the Hassan split off because Destiny was starting to do his like sex freako stuff. In 2019, Denims and Little Fox were both small female streamers in their early 20s who had sexting relationships with Destiny or were featured on his streams. Little Fox also had sex with both Destiny and Melina in September 2019. After TwitchCon, Dems had planned to stay in Destiny and Melina's apartment in Los Angeles. Destiny gave Denims instructions for letting herself and a friend from Destiny's community into the apartment, which he always left unlocked. Denims and her friend had sex on Destiny and Melina's bed. Upon arriving, Destiny became concerned that Denims' friend had spent time around his unlocked computer while Melina was upset they had sex on her bed, so they were no longer welcome to stay in Destiny's apartment. Later in the week, Little Fox let herself into Destiny's apartment to charge her phone early in the morning. She had left her charger there the previous day, and everyone inside the apartment was asleep. After seeing Denims' acknowledgement on her stream that things were generally tense, Destiny became worried that either Denims or Little Fox would accuse him of sexual coercion. On October 3rd, 2019, in a stream that would be uploaded with the title Destiny addresses the TwitchCon 2019 drama, Destiny painted the women as creepy and entitled. Yeah, there was like, this is the histories that we're just gonna, if we're gonna be going as deep into the song on some of the stuff, maybe we should, you know,
PA started as a
look at why people separated from Destiny
heel, then went on to be a Hassan Piker waiting room. In a post he made to boast about his success, he was shown to make $14,000 in a single month. Another orbiter turned independent streamer of note is Vosh. Vosh was another heel on the Destiny stream and was viewed as a charismatic and rhetorically gifted debater. If Hassan appealed to authoritarian communists and socialists, what are collectively known as tankies, then Vosh appealed to libertarian socialists and anarcho-communists. These are people who believe that capitalism is evil and exploitative and may need to be destroyed in a revolution, but what follows should be a system with less central control and less hierarchy in line with Marx's vision of a more free humanity.
To be fair, I think Vosh appeals more to like internet brain, Destiny coded people than Hassan. I think Hassan is significantly more palatable to normies, because he does normie shit, like a lot of normie, like just human slop shit. That's like kind of boring, right? Not normies, women. Well, you know what I mean. People that will go outside occasionally, right? Versus Vosh, who's going to be appealing to people who are like, oh yeah, cool, dude. Let's do every PDF debate and talk about horse fucking, you know?
As a result, this puts them at odds with authoritarian socialists and communists known as tankies, because libertarian socialists and anarcho-communists won't typically apologize for authoritarian communist dictatorships like Stalinist Russia, Khmer Cambodia, Maoist and Genghis China, and North Korea. If anything, they view these countries as repulsive perversions of socialist thought and therefore worthy of disdain. Vosh appealed to this hardcore, if less authoritarian segment of Destiny's audience and had a series of debates with Steven before and after he started content creation. As a result of a fracturing relationship with Destiny and several very heated and contentious debates, Vosh stopped doing collaborations with Steven.
By the way, the 3-hour Vosh Destiny death debate is the single worst piece of content I ever have seen. I remember like really early on, when I was like starting to talk to like people like Wick and shit, I was like, you know what? I should try to learn some of these things. I tried to watch that offline. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It was miserable. I don't recommend anybody do it. It's going to rip your soul out. It will hurt. It's painful. It's not good for you. All right, it's not.
But there's still a decent crossover between the audiences. Destiny's audience will check in on Vosh to either cheer him or make fun of him, and vice versa. Vosh started his own orbit with creators such as Demon Mama and Xander Hall, and then something very interesting happened. But we're now old school political content creators.
They all just became sexual degenerates. Is that like the what something interesting happened? Oh, all these early online like politics people just let their sexual degeneracy like go run rampant. Interesting. I'm wondering if that's where he goes. Smack, good afternoon, love you.
Notice the vitality of the debate in streamer space. While they didn't need the money, time, or attention, they were nonetheless interested in it. Shoe-on-Head and Chris Ray Gun made appearances on Vosh's stream, and depending on your review, they were either passing the torch of content creation or kissing the ring of the new kings of political commentary. Sargon of Akkad and Lawrence Southern had both been willing to debate Destiny as he broke into the scene, and extended that to other creators. Sargon debated Vosh several times, while Lawrence Southern debated Xander Hall. This seemed to be an acknowledgement of the changing online political landscape where old-school commentators could stay in their niches and keep making money, but if they weren't willing to come out and talk to or debate streamers, then they were accused of cowardice. It is one thing to rant endlessly about something your audience already agrees with. It's another thing to be challenged in real time and forced to defend your ideas. This content was wildly popular because creators became avatars for their audiences and their respective ideologies. In a debate arena, they became...
I mean, he's not wrong. It is popular, but like, if you're gonna say Hassan's like the biggest, are you going to get into like the fact that he doesn't do that shit very much?
Rhetorical gladiators fighting for the cheers and boos of the audience. Watching someone whose politics you love stomp someone whose politics you hate is visceral, fun, and engaging. Watching someone whose politics you love get stomped on is gut-wrenching, painful, and impossible to look away from. Destiny and Vosh's antics in this regard was popular enough to secure them invites to Tim Pool's show, making them just outside of mainstream political commentary. Since that time, though, Vosh has secluded himself in what is disdainfully known as a quote-unquote fortress arc. As a result of this, Vosh's growth has stagnated compared to Destiny's, and his...
Didn't Vosh talk to Tim Pool after the Fortress arc beginning, though? Because the Fortress arc was Vosh largely just kind of disassociating himself with the Destiny debate space, right? I think he went on Tim Pool after that, entirely. Like, just entirely.
Orbit has decayed. Chris Ray Gun showed up once and then disappeared. Shoe-on-Head was too controversial as a former anti-SJW to have on the show regularly, so she has likewise disappeared from content. Demon Mama stopped creating...
No, she hasn't. No, she hasn't. Shoe-on-Head is doing stuff all the time. She just put out a video, like, I feel like 2 weeks ago. Shoe-on-Head, right? Yeah, I spelled her stuff.
Hello, friends, and happy 4th.
But Shoe-on-Head is still doing her thing. She just releases a video every 1 to 2 months, right? Like she still does her thing. She's not disappeared. Demon Mama had like sexual abuse allegations in her community. Like she is gone. Like a lot of these people are gone because of sexual abuse allegations.
Content due to personal drama, and Xander Hall has fallen out of orbit.
Well, to be fair, Xander Hall has had a lot happen between a alleged crackhead ex and just other random wretched behavior, such as, his editor Cherry and homelessness, AIDS, yeah, homeless, yeah, Where's Hunter Avalone in all this, dude? Why is he covering up Hunter Avalone? What happened to Hunter?
Both Destiny and Vosh have criticized Tim Pool after being on his show, and as a result, Tim Pool has rescinded their invites. It was revealed that Destiny emotionally and physically cheated on his...
Well, Tim Pool rescinded after, like, in the future because Destiny was talking about killing people at Trump rallies, right? Like, very specifically.
Wife Melina, with whom he had an open relationship with Lauren Southern. The cheating came from the fact that he minimized the emotional depth and physical intimacy of the relationship.
All right. Good job, Connor.
To Melina, so he could continue it. This affair was in spite of Lauren and him having diametrically opposed views on politics, family, and relationships. This all ended in tears, with Lauren breaking off their relationship and Melina leaving. While these dramas were unfolding,
we don't know if that's a broken bridge. By any means. We have no idea if that's a broken bridge.
Destiny took on two wildly controversial orbiters, Mr. Girl and Lavloon. Mr. Girl is
And the Mr. Girl Lavloon shit happened before the divorce Lauren Southern stuff. And yeah, Connor was the guy who leaked the Lauren Southern shit.
Is a provocateur, hip-hop artist who likes to talk about taboo topics like child abuse, domestic violence, and the limits of consent. Lavloon is a former pop artist and sex worker who was on a personal crusade against sex work despite returning to it several times. These characters were wild, abrasive, entertaining, and pushed the limits of what was socially acceptable even on a live stream. They infuriated other orbiters and the audience with their antics, but people couldn't stop watching whenever.
Like, okay, I just feel like Connor is just putting things way out of, like, time frames that just don't make sense. The Lauren Southern bridge burn, we don't know if that happened, one. Two, okay, like, we know the romance ended, but I think they talked after that even. So if we're going with this orbiter distinction that Connor's making, where one person is going to benefit from it, Lauren continued to benefit and possibly continues to benefit from Destiny Association and possibly could in the future. I guess that's the better way to put it. Almost certainly that's the case, right? Almost certainly that's the case. No, that is the case. Because this was last year. This was last year. Literally last year. Okay. Where Destiny was on with Hutch, Dylan, guy whose face is too small for his head, but is like kind of an anti-SJW, and then guy I can't remember who their name is, Adam Mockler. But Lauren was originally scheduled to come on to this debate. So I think I'm going to be honest, I think Lauren is still in the orbit. I don't know what Connor's going on about. I think Lauren's still in the orbit. Unless I'm proven differently. And all of that happened after the Mr. Girl shit to begin with.
They were on. Destiny, for reasons that would take its own dedicated video to unpack, confided in Lav and Mr. Girl his marital and extramarital issues, hastening the implosion of the orbit. Mr. Girl and Lav left the orbit to the cheers of large parts of the audience and had become vociferous critics of Destiny's personal and professional conduct. Now, despite these personal and professional earthquakes, Destiny has been on the warpath. He made it his mission in 2023 and 2024 to be available for every large show and podcast he could possibly get on. This was partly enabled by a newer orbiter named Not So Erudite. Erudite has a graduate diploma in psychological assessment, and her husband is a personal trainer. She is also
Bro. Okay. All right.
a Christian with heterodox views on religion. As a result, she has a lot to say about psychology, relationships, personal development.
Heterodox views on religion? I don't even think that's true anymore. I've been watching too much Erudite content. Like, this is... I feel like her religion stuff's been pretty murky for a bit, and I think it's okay for that to be the case. Isn't Connor friends with Lauren? He might know if that bridge is actually burnt. That is true. It just doesn't seem burnt in the way that, like, bridges are actually burnt for Destiny, you know?
feminism, anti-feminism, and the red pill. Red pill content was popularized by the podcast Fresh and Fit and the sex trafficker Andrew Tate. It's a movement effectively telling young men that the world is hostile to them, hostile to masculinity as a concept, and the secret to success is sociopathy, treating women like property, and working until you're rich, quite possibly by pimping out webcam models. Destiny and Erudite were the perfect liberal and progressive heels for these shows, and they dominated that talk show circuit for the better part of a year and took on some of the bigger red pill creators in debates. After the successful Whirlwind tour, Erudite and Destiny started a podcast called Bridges, attempting to
Okay, wait, what was that? Sorry, did anybody else see that? He has an artifact in here. He has an artifact in here. I don't know. Okay, it's just this. It was like a few frames. I
podcast called
swear.
Bridges.
Okay. Destiny did this whirlwind thing, but it wasn't. And Erudite also did it. Like, she did move to Miami to do that.
Attempting to improve communication with interesting people across the political spectrum. Destiny launched the podcast Anything Else.
I feel that I think Bridges does fine. Okay, I don't think it has the greatest viewership, but I think it might be survivable as a thing.
Else with his longtime friend
Illegally immigrated to Miami. Well,
and Dan Saltman. Bridges is moderately successful, and
she doesn't talk about being religious much anymore. Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with that. I think that it's something that like evolves, especially like the magic video that Erudite talked about how she wants magic in the world. It kind of like led me to, I kind of just looked at it, I'm like, oh, she's just doing this like kind of curious, like, you know, nature witch bullshit, probably, because like that's usually something Christians can often get into, or like kitchen witchery. Oh, I hate this. I'm sorry for here's your occult lesson of the segment. Basically Christians like Quakers are a good example of what I'm going to talk about. Quakers would adopt random little things into their religious mechanic. Similar to Christians, if we're looking at the late 1400s, is when we start to see the rise of the Spanish Inquisition. Christians were using soothsayers, they were using witches. In fact, if you're actually looking at the first person that was ever executed during this period of time when Christians started to prosecute people for being augurs or sorcerers, the first person who was actually executed had 3 months previous to the sentencing been commissioned by a church to help them find a lost golden cross that had been stolen from them. So Christians in Europe have been like adopting like magic and stuff and staying mostly Christian. Okay, you know, there are plenty of Christians, like even I believe like my parents are pretty hardline. My father will always talk about how he's a Capricorn. You know, this is not abnormal. Christianity has become, in my opinion, a very loose thing for a lot of people, that they pull in and tack on whatever they want to be that. And that includes people like Andrew Wilson, who claim to be, you know, heavily Christian, where they're going to interpret things their way, orthodoxies and whatnot. Because even for an Orthodox, Andrew goes off on his own, like, lens. I think a lot of people at this point have interpreted their religion into themselves, and then they use it for what they want. You know?
Anything Else is wildly successful, and Erudite does a healthy chunk of back-end work in booking for both. Which brings us to a new and interesting development. Panels were the rage in the late 10s. Raj Royale, followed by Mindwaves TV, followed by the Reverie Roundtable, followed by the Hippy Dippy, followed by Modern Day Debates, generated millions of views. The format is
completely missing on the Zerko Royales.
Half dozen to a dozen personalities yelling at each other about current events. While I can't personally watch them, I love participating in them.
I honestly cannot even believe that he would forget about Wick, dude.
There's a magic to people bantering, making fun of each other, dunking on each other with obscure facts, and rhetorically dominating their opponents. Mindwaves, Reverie, and Hippy Dippy in particular became cornerstones of the Twitch political scene. These shows became an easy way for smaller creators to get on and fight with bigger creators, boosting their profile. Destiny went on Raj Royale, Mindwaves, Reverie, and Hippy Dippy. Hassan Piker, of all people, spent his early career on the Raj Royale and developed many of his large streamer connections there. Vosh went on both the Reverie Roundtable and the Hippy Dippy. It seems like ancient history, but other personalities such as Shoeonhead, Mike from PA, and Denims TV also made appearances on the Hippy Dippy. While this content has waned in popularity, there is a mainstream political commentator who has revived it, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has been a mainstream political commentator for decades. He has a storied media career starting in tabloids, moving to news commentary, and then being the host of Good Morning Britain. Using his clout in history, Piers Morgan has invited mainstream media and alternative media pundits, including Destiny and Hassan, onto his program to debate the political events of the day. This was originally on the mainstream platform Talk TV, but has since moved to YouTube. Whatever prestige lost by moving to the platform doesn't seem to have affected Pierce's ability to get guests, and he has 3.5 million subscribers and routinely breaks 1 million views on his segments. So it seems like the wall between the mainstream and alternative media is thinning, and independent streamers will be jumping on mainstream editorial shows soon.
You know, I think that that's possible, right? And I like that Connor cited this conversation. Because wasn't this the C-SPAN that Destiny went on, where a bunch of people called in to ask him about, like, his sexual degeneracy for, like, a good, 25 minutes? Wasn't that it? Wasn't this the one? I think this was the one.
In summary, the media landscape has evolved. Alternative media and content creation is a viable and potentially lucrative enterprise for rhetorically gifted people. The old guard of online politics have been surpassed by streamers, and political YouTubers and streamers are breaking into mainstream news commentary and are having real-world consequences. There's money, power, sex, alliances, and betrayal, and it's all wildly interesting, if a bit insane. I appreciate you. Catch you in the next one. Become a
That was better than I thought it was going to be, though. I will give him that. That was better than I thought it was going to be. I think Connor is a little bit... I think that he misses, like, a lot of stuff on... He misses the YouTube stuff a lot, right? Connor is putting out a false history, okay? I don't know how to tell all of you this, but Connor is making a false history. He's rewriting history, okay? He's rewriting history. He's sourcing it poorly, and it's not a good thing. It's bad. We did this with a previous video of his. I need to dig some of this stuff up because we've already gone in with this. Like calling me and Becca TWITCHPOL veterans. Sure, you can say that, but it's like very deleterious to even how long me and him were involved. It's almost like Connor has no idea how time fucking works. Okay? I think before somebody else gets to set up a record and make just history slop that is fundamentally false, I feel we need to put out a better TWITCHPOL history someday, right? Someday. That's what you should actually like and subscribe for, because that's what the whole meaning of that was. It's just that I am so full of potatoes right now. Oh, God. Just need to get them out.